This is the Sales Gravy Podcast, and it's Wisdom Wednesday where you drive the agenda. And on this segment of the Sales Gravy Podcast, you bring your biggest challenges, and Jeb Blount delivers his best answers. Those answers, they come straight from the trenches. Because Jeb's not just teaching sales, he's out there prospecting, closing, and leading sales teams every single day. Before we jump in, here's a quick update. The Outbound Conference, you know the one I've been talking about? It's the biggest, baddest sales conference on the planet, and it's getting ready to announce its new date and location. Tickets always sell out fast. So if you want early bird discounts and information, head over to outboundconference.com. That's outboundconference.com and get on the waiting list right now. Next up is Dhruv from St. Louis, Missouri.
All right, next up on the show is Dhruv Pathak from St. Louis, Missouri. Dhruv, what's going on?
Hey, Jeb. So thanks for having me on. First and foremost, the ledge phrase been just going across our entire organization like wildfire. We've been using it a lot. So the reason why I wanted to be on the show today was I'm kind of new to sales. I began last year in July of last year, and I finally figured it out. It felt like in Q1 of this year, where I had some really good performance, and I was doing pretty good. And for context, I'm not a full cycle sales closer. I'm a business development rep, where I just warm up leads for our account executives. And after the past 2 months, I've been really struggling. I've had low attainment. And it really comes down to I felt like I've lost some confidence in myself and confidence in just, being able to make the calls. So I was hoping to see if you had any strategies or anything that's worked for you in the past when maybe you've lost some of your confidence.
It's a great question. What did you do before you got into this role?
So I was in nonprofits. I did a lot of voter engagement work, just getting people to the polls, that kind of stuff.
But you were still doing a lot of outreach.
Right. A lot more in-person outreach, not so much on the phones.
That difference between being in person and being on the phone, is that different for you in your mind?
It is, but I've read enough of your books to know that I don't use that too much of an excuse. Yes, of course. I'm able to pick up on body language, and that was a bit of an adjustment, but I really think I get in my own way and I freeze up a lot on the phone.
Okay. I do too sometimes.
Mhm.
You know what? Do you know what I do when I freeze up on the phone? I just hang up and take a mulligan and just do it again. Like sometimes you just get tongue tied. See, I just did it right now. You get tongue tied on the phone and you don't know what to say. So the best thing to do is just hang up, move on to the next call them back, tell them you got disconnected because sometimes you just can't get out of your own way. And you play golf by any chance?
I don't. I haven't, but I need to get into it.
Okay, you think because you're in sales, you got to be in golf. Yesterday, I was playing golf with my son JBJ in a tournament, and I mean, I was doing well for me, and on a course that I played last year in the same tournament and played very poorly. And we got on this par three, and I don't know what happened. I mean, like I just lost it, and I I hit a ball into the water. And I got a mulligan in the tournament, so I used my mulligan, and I hit the next ball into the water, and then I got down to the area where your penalty area, and then I hit the ball over the green into the sand trap, and I'm like, "This is terrible." Like, I lost my confidence, lost everything, and trying to recover from that was tough. Then I hit a great drive on the next hole, and then I hit my approach shot into a creek. And you hit one after another, after another, after another. How do you bounce back from that? How do you recover from that? And a lot of it goes into your head. And I use this as an analogy because in that situation, I was starting to lose my confidence. So what I did was after I hit the approach shot into the creek, because I was pretty disgusted after the par three, and I had a really nice ball. Like I just hit it. I was aimed the wrong way, but I hit a good ball. It wasn't a bad thing. It's just a good ball, just aimed the wrong way. I congratulated myself for the strike. Like I did it, I hit it well. I just hit it in the creek. So I got onto the green, got back to my routine, made the putt, and on the very next hole, I made a par. Like I recovered on the next hole. And it was all about just getting back into my core routine versus thinking about all the things that I was doing wrong. And I think sometimes when especially in your world as a BDR, it's moving really fast and you get a lot of rejection and you get tongue tied. I just did it again. You get tongue tied You say things that you don't mean to say, and then things don't go well, and then you start thinking about that versus thinking about the routine. Like you mentioned the ledge statement. When you get a objection, you know how to handle it. The reason you get tongue tied is because it hits your brain. You get scared. You don't know what to say. So you on the next call, you go, all right, let me learn how to use the ledge. Let me go back to that routine again. Let me go back to what I was doing before. Because when you start thinking about what can I do to be more confident, I can't give you confidence, right? Confidence comes from the inside, not from the outside. And most of us are looking for confidence from the outside. Now, certainly, if you run a string of calls and you set an appointment on every one of them and you hit your number, that certainly makes you feel more confident. So there's nothing like success that'll make you feel confident. But when you're not getting success, the only place that the confidence is going to come from is inside of you. Let's go back to last fall when you came in and things were going great. You're hitting your numbers, you felt good. Like, what was different?
I think I was just trusting the process a lot more at that time, you know. Maybe a part of it was the economic situation, and people were more open to at least looking into our solution at the time. But I think also I was really like focused in on following the process to a T, and letting the outcomes show up for themselves. And I think in April, when things started to go a little bit more sideways, I had a tendency to be like, oh, I don't have to make as many calls. I've got this figured out. And I got a little overconfident. My dials got low. And then all of a sudden, my number didn't hit.
And then you started questioning yourself, and then you started changing up what you were doing, and you try to find a secret solution for it. Yeah, exactly. Uh, baseball.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So golf and baseball. There was a pitcher one time, you may not even remember, but his name was John Smoltz, and he was one of the top pitchers ever, Cy Young Award winner. I went to see him speak at an event, and he was talking about this exact thing. And he was talking about how baseball players and pitchers and hitters and what have you will get into a slump. Something bad happens, like they have a bad month, they have a bad game or what have you, they get into a slump. And he said what most people do is they start changing things, like they start looking for something new. They look for an easy button, or they look for a magic pill or a new technique, when all they really need to do is go back to the process. They need to go back to the basics and fundamentals. And I've been talking about Kobe Bryant a good bit. One of the things he was famous for was he would go back to his process, but he did it every day. So he would go in and spend at 4 o'clock in the morning and spend for 3, 4 hours doing the basics, the same things he was doing when he was a kid. It's the same thing for you. Like you got to kind of go back to that basic. And when I think about yesterday on that golf course, when I started to unravel, what I did on that green is I went back to my routine. I went back to my calm, cool process. Rather than rushing the putt, I put my mark down, I looked at it, and I trusted the process. And then the next hole, I got back into that routine and that rhythm versus getting out of it or trying to fix things in the process or coming up with something new. What I would say to you is you already know what the formula is. Go trust the process. Now, is it harder right now? Yeah. Are companies pulling back right now? Yeah. Which means, by the way, you need to make more calls, not less calls, because you got to go find the people that do have budget and do have money. And one book I might recommend, if you haven't read it, is read Selling in a Crisis, because it addresses this very thing that you're dealing with right now. Is there's a pullback? What do I do? So go read that book, and I think you'll like it if you or listen to it. It's on audio. But go back and trust the process. Do the things that you were doing before. Think about process goals rather than thinking about outcome goals. Think about how many calls, how's your messaging, are you using the 5-step framework? If you're using that framework from fanatical prospecting, are you using your ledge statements, ledge, disrupt, ask? Are you using that process? And then set process goals. If you need to, when you're lacking confidence, set those process goals in shorter increments. So, run a 15-minute block, go back, praise yourself for the things you did well, right? Even if you didn't get the appointment, did you do well? Did you say the right thing? Did you have the right message? Did you run the process? Tell yourself the good things about what you're doing, not the bad things about what you're doing, but run those in shorter spurts. And the best example I have this for my own career is I go back to when I was 24 years old, probably about your age. And I was is that about right? You're about 24?
I'm actually 32, but yeah.
You look like you're 22, so I thought you were a little younger, but I go back to when I was 24, I was having a bad quarter, and I was so down on myself, I didn't wanna come to work, like, I was just depressed about it. The way that I got out of it was I started just doing 10-minute call blocks. I would call for 10 minutes, and then I stopped, and I had a sales book, a book that I like to read, and I would read 3 pages of that book as a reward, and then I would do 10 more minutes. And I would read 3 pages of that book for a reward, and I would do 10 more minutes. All I did was focus on the process and focused on the activity, and I read that book for inspiration, and 30 days later, I was doing well. 90 days later, I was the number 1 rep in my region. But that was just my way of trying to put into action the process and the activity in a situation where I felt less confidence and I didn't feel good about what I was doing and I was looking for some answers. The only answer was doing it.
I did the exact thing that you said. I was looking for every answer on LinkedIn or searching, using AI to figure out the perfect call script or doing this, that, and the other, when in reality, it was just getting back into the process, maybe tweaking a little bit along the way to optimize it. But okay, yeah, this
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. So selling in a crisis. What book were you reading during
I was reading a book
your
called No Bull Selling. It was written by Hank Trisler. It's an old book. It probably wouldn't impact you very much now, but it was just a book that for me was just inspirational words. It was helping me just get my mind in the right place. And for you, selling in a crisis might work, or go back to, pick up Fanatical Prospecting and read Fanatical Prospecting. Follow the 5-step framework. Work on your because statements. Work on your ledge statements. And you can type stuff into AI all day long, but it doesn't know how to cold call.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, this has been great. Thanks so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Tell your team I said hi too.
If you've got a question for the show, head over to salesgravy.com/ask. That's salesgravy.com/ask and just submit the form. One of our nice producers will reach right out to you and schedule your session with Jeb. Let's wrap this up with a quick thought. Drew's question hit on something that every sales professional faces but rarely ever talks about: the confidence crash. Here's what most people don't understand. Confidence isn't something you find, it's something that you rebuild through repetition and process. Think about this. Dhruv went from crushing his numbers in Q1 to struggling in the following months. So what changed? He got comfortable. He started thinking that he had it all figured out. He reduced his activity. Sound familiar? This is a success trap that kills more sales careers than any market downturn ever will. Here's the brutal truth. Your confidence is directly tied to your activity levels. When you slack off on the fundamentals, your results suffer. And when your results suffer, your confidence tanks. When your confidence tanks, you start overthinking everything. And when you start overthinking, you stop executing. The solution isn't motivational videos or confidence tricks. It's about getting back to the basics. It's trusting the process that got you there in the first place. When you are in a slump, don't look for something new, go back to what worked. But here's the key that most people miss. You've got to compress your feedback loops when you're rebuilding confidence. Instead of setting daily goals, set hourly goals. Instead of setting weekly targets, focus on what you can do in the next 15 minutes. Make 10 calls. Celebrate the process, not just the outcome. So the next time you find yourself in a slump, remember Dhruv's lesson. Stop looking for the magic bullet. Stop trying to perfect your script with AI. Stop searching for LinkedIn for that secret sauce. There is no secret. There's only process. And the process works, but only if you work the process. And remember, when you're tired, you're worn out, and you're not confident that tomorrow is going to be a success, before you go home, make one more call. This is Jeb Blount Jr., and we'll catch you next time on the Sales Gravy Podcast.
Hey, I'm doing a happy dance because you watched this video. Make sure that you click like and subscribe so that you never miss one of our amazing sales training videos.